Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here, I'm going to be taking you guys through the rapid refinishing process of painting this Nissan Navara. So we're painting the right hand front door and the right hand front guard, or fender as you may call it. So it's a bit of a creamer, what we call in the industry. It's a really small job on a new car. It's not like it's some old 1980s Corolla that's had more hits than Elvis, stone chips and scratches. Sometimes those older cars will most of the time actually take a little bit longer to paint than the newer ones. So happy to do this kind of work, and I don't have my boss yelling at me to hurry up on these jobs. I actually just enjoy getting the jobs done as quick as possible to a good quality standard. Anyway, let's continue on with the job. So you've obviously seen me first up. I was cleaning the entire panel down, as I do with all my prep work, because I do the dry sanding. Now I am back onto solvent-based paints. My prep methods will change slightly, but not too much. The main thing is that I'm able to finish it off a little bit coarser than if I was to use the waterborne paints. I've recently done a fairly popular video on prep work for waterborne paints, so those that have seen that will be able to notice that there's a few minor changes. The basic principle will stay the same as I say though. So look, you probably could put some guide coat over that repaired area or the primed area prior to blocking it. It's not always necessary. If you know what you're looking for, you don't always have to. It's such a small area there that there was a slight repair under there. I decided it didn't need to be guide coated, and I only blocked it with 320 grit. I decided there was no need to go 240 or 180 grit. The repair was good enough that it didn't warrant going so coarse. Once I've got it blocked down, you may have noticed that I got my hand with a flat palm, feeling it over that panel. You can usually feel the high or low spot in the panel. If that's the case, you can then continue to keep blocking a little bit more. Another way to make sure your panels are straight is to get a bit of wax and grease remover or prep sol. Spray that over the repaired area. That will emulate the wet finish, so it'll give you a shiny surface over that primed area. You can get down on the angle, look at it down the side of the car, and you'll be able to see if there is any highs or lows. If there is, dry it back off and continue blocking. You may have to put a bit of filler in or re-prime it or whatever. In this case, it wasn't necessary. You probably noticed also that I didn't even guide coat it prior to using the Orbital sander. Now the grit that I'm using here, because I only blocked it down with 320 grit, I didn't need to use anything coarser than 600. So I've got 600 straight on that Orbital sander and got rid of all those 320 grit scratches. Now we're up to 600 grit. That's right to paint over. So you'll notice that I'm cleaning that bit of sandpaper out and the panel down before I go and Orbital sand the rest of the car, because what can happen if you sand the primed area first and then without cleaning the piece of sandpaper out, you can actually have some of that white or the light grey primer dust end up getting on the rest of your panel, and that can be a contaminant. When you go to clear over it, you can slightly see it. It happened to me a few times when I started to do dry sanding. So dry sanding is far superior to wet sanding, I believe anyway, especially in the everyday automotive refinishing trade. The previous guy that I worked with at the previous shop where I was using the waterborne paints, when he started, I said to him, hey, you know, you really should start doing dry sanding. And I sort of, the way I sold it to him was, oh, you're using waterborne paints, it's best if you dry sand. It was a little bit of a porcupine. You can wet sand when you're using waterborne paints. It doesn't really matter. I got him to start doing dry sanding. He was very good at learning, and he got his prep techniques down just exactly the same as mine. And I said to him before I left, I said, hey, now you're on the dry sanding, would you go back? You know, when I leave, will you go back to wet sanding? He said, no, I definitely won't. It's definitely much quicker and also a lot cleaner. You don't have buckets hanging around the workshop. You don't have, you know, puddles of water on the ground when you're finished. You don't have to dry the entire car off when you have finished sanding. So it's definitely quicker and cleaner, I believe anyway. If I was to have done this job wet sanding, I wouldn't have got it done before my lunch break. That's an extra half an hour after lunch, and that has a flow-on effect to the amount of work that you're able to do in one day. I get paid quite well at this workshop. When I first started here, I went for a lower rate. I knew with my skills I would be able to get exactly what I wanted after they were able to see what I could do. After 2 months, I hit him up for a pay rise, and the boss took me into the office and he said, mate, you're one of the best, if not the best painter we've ever had working here. So that was obviously a good thing to hear, and for me, I could be working there for 2 years, 3 years, and I'll still give every single day my 100%, the absolute best I can do. And even if I was on that lower rate, I would still be working to the same speed and the same quality that I am now. It's not all about the money, but it does help motivate. At the end of the day, we're all in this trade for money, or most of us are anyway, the average everyday refinishers. And I race the other painters. They don't even know it. They probably might be watching my videos now and they're saying, hey, I wasn't racing you. Yeah, but I was racing you, you know. If I tell them, they're like, shut up, Gunny, I'm not playing your stupid games, you know. But I'm a bit of a competitive person, and it's a game to me, and it's a bit of fun. I enjoy going to work every day and getting to make shit look shiny. There's just something about that off-the-gun finish. There's that magical moment when you're in the spray booth and you've just laid down that second banging coat of clear. You can't beat it, you know. And if the only thing you pick up out of this video is a bit of a better attitude towards work or a bit of enthusiasm, well then my job's done. Even if you can watch 100 of my videos and I do exactly the same thing in every single one of them, if it gets you into a better frame of mind, more enthusiastic about going to work, my job's done. I'm happy, you know. There's lots of people that do enjoy watching my videos. Obviously, I'm doing something right. I'm going to continue making these videos for a long time, as far as I can tell anyway, and hope you guys do continue to enjoy my journey. I'm back where I'm happy. I do prefer to do this kind of paint work. Lots of painters, well, a few painters don't like it, you know. They prefer to do the resto, where you can just, you know, spend a month or two on a job and make it look an absolute $1 million. That kind of stuff gets a bit boring for me, you know. By the time I've worked on a car for about 2 or 3 months, even if it does look an absolute $1 million and it looks great, I'm just over it, and I don't want to see that bloody thing again. Get me onto the next car, bang, 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 smash them out. That's where I'm happy anyway. And the good thing about this shop here is we do get a good mixture of work here as well. We get some top quality cars, some high-end cars. We get the Mercedes. We've got lots of Land Rovers, Range Rovers, or the newer cars. And we also get a bit of the older stuff coming in too, just for some sort of spot repairs. And that's another thing that people like to watch, sort of spot repairs, smart repairs, burn-ins, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, we do quite a bit of that here. I enjoy the challenge. Some of them can be quite challenging, and I think it's actually a skill to have in itself to be able to do that kind of job. So stay tuned and watch this space. Loads more of those little burn-in and spot repair videos to come. I've actually had quite a few mentions on this purple tape on my Instagram page. I've posted quite a few photos of my recent paintwork over there, and also on Facebook. And this is the 3M purple tape. So as best as I know, it's exactly the same as the old cream coloured standard masking tape coloured tape. They've just made it purple. I think 3M are just, yeah, sort of going towards the purple side, like some of their sandpapers have been for quite some time. I think they're just, you know, releasing, that's their colour, I guess, now. So, yeah, it's great tape. 3M has always had great tapes, probably had some of the best on the market. I had some guy talk about the green tape the other day, and he said that that's all they use every day. As far as I know, that was really expensive tape, and we used to use that for extra high temp. So when we were using the infrared drying lights, we used to use the green tape, because if you get some of these other tapes, more so the older style tape, if you got it too hot, it would just start lifting up. Most of the newer tapes are actually okay, as long as you don't go too close.
I don't know, mate, to be honest. I want to get this done before lunch, so I can't really come and have a look at it. Sorry.
So that was me just telling the other painter, sorry man, I can't come and help you using the Spectro, which is the color matching tool. I'm too busy. I've got to get this thing done before my lunch break. And as it turned out, I was only 10 minutes late for my lunch break, but going and helping him for 5 minutes, that would have slowed me down a little bit more. He's actually a older guy. I think he's around 55 years old, Italian. It's been good to work with him. You know, every time I work with a new painter, I always pick something up off them. Even if it just be the littlest thing, I always pick something up and improve my methods of refinishing. One thing I did pick up off him was seeing him grab an old pot that had been used, one of the plastic pots. He just wiped it out and reused it. So I've started doing the same thing, you know, like if I'm mixing up primer, obviously use this strainer, but you know, it might save a couple of bucks here or there for the boss. So one thing that at this shop, everyone seems to be on board about material usage, paint wastage, and all that kind of thing. So it's good to be part of a team that everyone's on the same page and we're all there to make a couple of bucks for ourselves, obviously, but also not waste too much of the boss's money, because if he's not making money, well then we can't. That's the way I've always looked at it. A few things that make me a quick painter is and it's mainly my attitude towards the work, I believe anyway, and it's giving a shit about the boss and giving a shit about the quality of the work also. But yeah, another one was when I was an apprentice, I was always in a hurry to get to 4:30 so I could have a beer with the guys after work, you know. And you might laugh at that, but it was part of the reason that made me a fast painter. It's actually something that I've thought about a few times over the years, and I was always in a hurry to get my work done so I could have a beer at 4 o'clock or 4:30, whatever time it was that we used to knock off at the specific shops. But yeah, that in itself was actually part of the reason that made me be a fast painter. I used to love the beers after work. My nickname at one of the shops I used to work at was the Beer Police, because come 3:30, 4 o'clock, I was running around making sure we've got beers, and I'll be going up to the boss and saying, hey, you're going to go get one of the apprentices to go get beers, or do you want me to go get them? I would always make sure that there's a stocked fridge when it comes up to time for us to knock off. It was always a bit of fun, sit around with the boys, have a few beers, have a bit of a laugh after work, then drive home and have some more. So, yep, used to work hard and play hard back in the days. These days, I work hard and just relax. So, I've changed a little bit, and it seems like the culture around most body shops here in Australia anyway has changed a bit. There was a bit of a story about some guy got drunk, got pulled over by the cops, and they said, what have you been doing? Oh, I've been getting drunk at work or whatever. So yeah, a lot of shops have sort of slowed down a little bit on the drinking these days from my experience anyway. For better or worse, I'll let you decide. I don't, miss getting drunk after work anymore. But would I change it? No, I wouldn't change it for the world. They're some of the best days of my life, and I had a great time. Anyway, I guess I got a little bit off topic there. We may as well continue on with the job. So you've obviously noticed me finishing my masking up, and then I wiped both panels down with some wax and grease remover, wiped that off, and now I'm in the booth with the colour in my gun and a tack rag. So around this door handle, you'll notice I'm just spotting a little bit of crap that I missed when I was doing my prep work. Turns out I was able to scuff it off with a piece of 800 grit without too much worry. It was actually like concrete. It really didn't want to come off. Who knows what it was, but just some piece of crap. So I didn't end up actually re-prep soling or re-waxing grease removing that area. Just got the tack rag, got all the dust off, and she'll be alright, you know, just keep painting. Tack ragging it, yes, that tack cloth is a little bit past its use by date, but I was still able to get quite a clean finish even with that old tack rag. So obviously now I'm putting my base coat down. That's in my GTI Pro, the blue one. It's got the TE10 air cap on it, and a few people have been asking, oh, are you using the same settings now that you've gone back to solvent? And the truth is, no, I'm not, and it's mainly the pressure. I'm able to run it just a little under 2 bar. When I was spraying the Waterborne Chromax Pro, I was using right on 2 bar. If you go too much lower, I was finding it didn't seem to atomize right, and it didn't come out quite as nice. But yeah, the rest of the settings have stayed the same. So full fan, full fluid for base coat. When I'm clear coating, I do like to wind that fluid in just a little bit. So I decided to actually leave the flash off times in there for you. So you might have noticed after putting that first coat on, I just got the air straight onto it, blew it off, dried it down, put that second coat on, which is what you see now. Literally just gave that not even a minute with air on it, and I'm able to tack rag the surrounding area. I'm then going to go get my Basecoat Blender, which is just the Standox tinter 599 thinned down to a 1:1 ratio, and it's basically just a clear base coat to help the metallic blend into it. On any darker colours, you don't worry about it. This colour is sort of on the edge of having to or not having to worry about it. But yeah, if you're ever not sure, just use it, you know. So yeah, anything with high metallic in it, even if it is a darker color like this one is, but it's actually still got quite a lot of metallic in it, I'll just use it, you know. But any blacks or yeah, really dark colors, and I wouldn't worry about it. And I just keep a gun with that set up there straight in it, so all I have to do is grab the gun and start spraying. I don't have to clean the gun out after each time I use it. It doesn't seem like it's necessary. Excuse the state of the booth up that corner, it's a bit messy. I ended up cracking the shits with it today and just went through it all and threw it all out. Well, keep some of the stuff, obviously. A few of the rags, we can reuse them. So this is something that you can do with solvent, which you can't do with water. If I was to go and apply Chromax Pro's waterborne base coats the way I am now, I would have mottle all through the side, and even though it is a fairly dark colour, there's enough metallic in there that you would get mottle on a colour like this. I find this solvent based Standox blends a lot easier. I mixed up 120 mils, so that would have turned into about 160, 170 mils around there by the time I put my reducer into it. Minimal amount of paint. I used most of it, not much getting wasted. If they needed a little spot up or a scratch touched up, yep, they got enough left over for that. I think also that using the lower pressure I'm able to use with this solvent-based base coat, it doesn't float as much. So when I was using the waterborne, that paint just seemed to float. Like, it was nearly going edge to edge, half of my colours, and I had a full door to blend, but it was just going right the way up to, and you could see it on my mask. I had a few people pointed out to me in some of my other videos, and they're like, it's not really a blend anymore. As it turned out, I was still able to get some really decent off the gun finishes. I reckon I got water 95%. You know, there were probably a few little things I could have still picked up on it, but look, to me, it's great to be back on solvent. I've had a few people say, I'm glad that you are back on solvent. I've had nobody saying that they'll miss water videos, so that's a good sign from you guys. I'm interested, you know, if there is anyone who would rather me painting water, get out there and leave a comment for us. I'm interested to know. So I'm on to the clear coat stage. What I did was I finished my base coat, went out, cleaned my base coat gun out, mixed up my clear coat, literally walked straight back in. The base coat's dry, none of this pissing around with blowers and waiting, and then it's just a lot of it's a faster procedure to paint solvent as well. I find I'm able to get some really, really decent off the gun finishes as well. I am using the Duke Zone clear, which is a cheaper clear, and I can get some really nice finishes with this. The main thing that you've got to remember when using some of these cheaper clears, just observe those flash off times. So it's an MS clear, it's not a high solid clear. It's a little bit on the thinner side than some of the HS clears. You do use a little bit more, but you can still get some great finishes with it. As I say, just give it that few minutes in between coats. Obviously the temperature of the day and the booth will vary your flash off times. Sometimes if you're doing a bumper bar, you can push those limits a little bit further. You obviously don't want to go too wet on bonnets or hoods, anything like that. But yeah, that's just something that as a painter, you just trial and error on a few jobs, and you're like, oh, I went a bit too far on that one, you know, maybe I'll hold off a little bit more on the next job. But you've also got to remember that we've got to match the orange peel and the finish of the car. On this car here, I actually think I went a touch too wet on the center of that guard for some reason. I probably went a little bit slow. Even little things like the positioning of the car, you'll notice that it's on a little bit of an angle there. I find that doing that will stop any of the air from the booth flowing directly onto it, and that can actually lower the amount of crap that's flying around and gonna land onto your paint. It may or may not make a difference. You'll never know, but for me, this has been giving me clean results. Each booth is different. You've got to find out their little quirks. This is the green booth. There's actually a bit of a story behind this booth. I'll cover that in another video, because that's just about it for this video, guys. Hope you have enjoyed watching it. I've definitely had a bit of fun making it. Although this car did only take me an hour and a half to paint, it took a lot longer than that to do the editing work. Easily double, if not more. So all I ask of you guys is to give it a big thumbs up for us. Now you've seen this video, get out there and paint something. Thanks for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.